Hello, 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 hello. So, many of us would like to think that we are in total control of our lives. Well, this can be true, and it is. But to a certain extent, it's also not true. We are being influenced by so many different things. It can be something inside your mind, an internal driver, and it can be something outside of your body, something in the world that influences you. And we as a intelligent species, a higher order species, which can recognize ourselves and higher function, higher cognitive ability in other species, we are being influenced. And a lot of it has to do with the media. Now, wait. I know what you're going to think is like, oh, yeah, here is another conspiracy theory thing about the media saying how bad it is and stuff like that. Bottom line is, right now you're watching like media. Any other YouTube video you'll be watching, have watched, will be watching in the future is a form of media. Like if you're watching a video about a makeup tutorial, okay, if you're watching a video about how to train your dog, if you're watching a video about how to understand mathematics, these are forms of media. Media, medium, the way of transmitting information. So, welcome, congratulations, you're just watching media right now. Now, another form of media is news media, or, like real, like current events media, political analysis, economic analysis, geographic analysis, these kinds of things. And they are in various publications. So we no longer have the broad form newspaper, really. Maybe there's like some obscure company who still make them for like some obscure country gentleman who's like 85 years old who commissioned the press by himself just to make one copy of this for himself, but the probability of that's exceedingly low. Most of us consume our media via the internet, obviously, because of convenience and, lower cost and these kinds of things. But not all media is the same. You can have like a fantastic way of seeing the quality of the media you're consuming is a website called groundupnews.com or something. And there you can see quite clearly, what are you consuming. This video is going to look specifically at election interference, and more specifically election interference in the US election of November 2024. Now, I'm just going to come out straight away and say if there are election interference, it will be minimal. It will not be on the scale like, no offense, but like, let's say some African or Latin American countries where they just go and, like some of those are very powerful governments where there is absolutely, if you're a journalist, an investigative journalist, and you ask questions that's too uncomfortable, you just disappear. Not just you, your colleagues, hundreds, thousands of them, like reporting in a place like Mexico and Nigeria can be a mortal, hobby. It's not the same as like reporting in Iceland, and reporting in Iceland is safer than reporting in the US. So in the US, there will be electoral interference, although much less so than in other countries. However, it is, considering how close the margins are for this election in 2024, one does need to consider the fact that you just have like these 7 swing states, and it's very important to consider what impact electoral interference will have on the population of these states. So let's have a look. Well, you have like 2 kinds of interference. One will be foreign and one will be domestic. Let's start with the foreign actors. Russia, our big friend Russia. Once again, not the Russian people, Russian culture. I'm not talking about these things. I'm like talking about the government, you know, Putin's government. And Mr. Putin, I know you're not watching this video, but like by the small chance that you are watching this video and you decide to poison me with Novichok, I don't care. Then I don't have to worry about my pension. In any case. Okay, so Russia did deepfake disinformation about Kamala Harris. In late October 2024, a deepfake video surfaced on platforms like Telegram and X showing Kamala Harris in a fabricated scenario where she called rural voters ignorant and unfit to vote. The video, shared with captions like, "Democrats have nothing but contempt for real Americans," quickly gained millions of views, primarily on conservative networks. Russia's use of AI in the video's creation was confirmed by US cybersecurity agencies, underscoring a sophisticated effort to alienate rural voters from Harris's campaign. Sources: The Washington Post, October the 26th, 2024. New York Times, October the 27th, 2024. NPR, October the 29th, 2024. Now, like in this video, I'm going to, sorry for the boredom, you know, or the big bore, but I will be citing sources simply because by the nature of this video, other actors will say I am making a misinformation and disinformation video myself. So the sources being used for this script is exhaustive. So like in some instances, you know, 40 different sources. I can't make a 10-hour video because then you won't watch it. So I'm just gonna, I just decided like 3 sources is enough just to prove, you know, I'm not sucking this out of my thumb and feeding you another bunch of nonsense. But in the comment section, like if you want to have an argument with me about this, it's cool. We can have a discussion and we can further ascertain the veracity of these sources. Because I'm a nobody, ignorant person. Let's like have a discussion and see if we can find the real truth. If this, what I'm like telling you right now, is in fact not the truth. Let's go on to the second point about foreign interference. Fake news websites mimicking local media. Since early September 2024, Russian operatives launched a network of fake websites designed to resemble local US news outlets. These sites posted inflammatory articles titled "Democrat cities are crime havens" and "Blue states defund police, endangering families." These fake articles appeared highly credible, listing fake crime statistics and expert testimonies from fictitious law enforcement officials. The goal was to shift voter attitudes towards Republicans by fostering distrust in Democratic leadership, particularly in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. So, yeah, like an easy way to see something came from Russia. Now, remember, a lot of people like to deny identity, you know, like identity politics. the existence of identity and cultural difference, but these are very real things. If you go and look at the number one, I can't even say a news website, it's such a horrible website. Well, some of the articles are good. RT News. Like now and then you get a well thought out essay, like questioning contemporary wisdom, okay, that is rife in the Western media. But in general, go and have a look. Just do yourself a favor. Like RT News, they've got these, one of the first things, you're going to see it straight away. Like they put a lot of words in, like, you know, these sarcasm like quotes. And I use a lot of sarcasm quotes. I'm not Russian, by the way. But like, look, you don't use sarcasm quotes in a newspaper or a media, online media source. It's just not, done. And they use a lot of like, words in bold, in uppercase. So this is unusual. And for me, it's like kind of a cultural difference. Like, it's almost like it's simulating yellow press or something. And my theory is that a lot of it, like, look, the journalists might be, or maybe Western, but your editors, like the people making the choices, they will be, Russian Secret Service. However, the Russian Secret Service will be an elite organization. It will be meritocratic and there won't be any incompetence. But still, now and then, your culture will show through. And in this case, it's just so strange that like this paper would write its articles in such a way. This is how something is Russian. Like, they've got a lot of like also sensational yellow press like attributes. Like, for example, the AIDS pandemic. People can argue until they're blue in the face about this, but AIDS isn't a manufactured CIA Western virus. It comes from the DRC. They've proven it by using genetical testing, DNA testing. However, in the 70s, the KGB opened a shelf company in India. The shelf company in turn owned a newspaper company, and they published an article stating that the US created AIDS. And all of the information that you will find about this topic, that AIDS is manufactured by the CIA, emanates from this one single source as the original idea. Very interesting. How will, no offense to small newspapers in India, but how would a small Indian newspaper have the journalistic capability or reach, or people on the ground? To be a great organization, you need people on the ground gathering information. It's impossible. They can't have people everywhere to do these studies. Clearly, it's a fake operation. And the coup de grace of my argument is that Mikhail Gorbachev admitted this. He admitted that this AIDS thing, it was fake news. And this was standard KGB procedure to create fake news, or rather, this video is about misinformation and disinformation. Fake news is kind of like this weird catch-all phrase that just encompasses like everything, where misinformation and disinformation are distinctly different. So basically, this is like what they did, because the KGB didn't have the same budget as the CIA. What the CIA did is they spent a huge amount of money, like in the 80s, on electronic surveillance, essentially looking at what's going on in Western Europe. However, what the KGB did was human intelligence. They would go around and they would just gather intelligence using humans, which was more cheaper, and actually it was way more effective. The KGB, by the late 80s or during the 80s, the KGB knew much more about Western secrets than vice versa, simply because their methods were superior. Like electronic, even today, like, you know, maybe it'll change if we have quantum computing, but like up until, and that's not even a guarantee. Like the AI we have now, that it's large language models. It's not like, you know, it's not a way of like discerning all the information. Like the electronic information that the US gathered in the 80s, it was real, but it was useless because it was too much. They could never sort throughout it. The KGB could. And disinformation and misinformation was one of their most effective tools. I'm going to make a video about this. Sorry for this massive tangent. Like, I just thought I'll put some meat on the bone, throw in some background. Just a recap. Democrat cities are crime havens, blue states defund the police, endanger families, fake crime statistics, expert testimonies from fictitious law enforcement officials. Look, I'm from South Africa. I know what crime is. Like, freaking a week ago, one of my friends was attacked in his car, nasty, like, operation that was done on him. Like, they hijacked him, they forced him to withdraw all of his money. It was R500,000 rand. Like, to put it into perspective, it's like $15, $18 for a rand. They took a lot of money. They took his car, obviously. Like, yeah, I know what crime is. Like, and it gets way worse than that, by the way. So, you know, like saying this American crime is real crime, like that you get in Africa or in South America, that's just nonsense. So, but this is what they did. Sources: BBC News, September the 10th, 2024. Politico, September the 15th, 2024. The Guardian, September the 12th, 2024. Number 3, AI-generated Biden video clips on freedom restrictions. By the way, Biden, I don't think need clips to discredit himself. I feel very sorry for old people. Like, I'm gonna be like that. You're gonna be like that. We're all gonna be like desecrate old people, forgetting words, getting sentences right, walking around, staring into the background, like for no apparent reason. However, like, you shouldn't be president if you're like that. You should just age gracefully. However, you still cannot make fake AI videos about someone, irregardless of their competence or lack thereof. In August 2024, Russian AI tools produced a video of Joe Biden appearing to say, "If we need to, we'll take away certain freedoms for the greater good." Although the video was entirely fabricated, it spread on conservative platforms like Rumble and right-leaning Facebook groups, stoking fear about potential restrictions on constitutional rights if Biden won. This tactic targeted undecided conservatives, pushing them towards GOP candidates by portraying Democrats as a threat to individual freedoms. So, yeah, deepfakes are quite pernicious. Like, I remember it was a couple of years ago, it was even before this latest advent of AI that started 2 years ago. They made, it was, I believe it was, well, yeah, it was like Key and Peele, like those guys, those two comedians. You have to watch their sketches, by the way, on Comedy Central. Unfortunately, they stopped, but it was hilarious. Like, one of them did a Obama deepfake, and it was like one of those specialized deepfakes that only a professional media company can do. It's not like my operation, obviously, but like, it was really, really real. And that was just to demonstrate like how well a deepfake can be done. However, because it's digital, there will always be a way to figure out, like, you know, if there's like some mistakes. The video I'm making right now, with your human eye, in your human brain, it appears to be analog, but it's not. It's digital. And if you're an expert, some of you will be watching this video, you'll be able to tell if this is like, you know, you'll be able to tell many things. Like, you know, how old is this guy? Like, where is he from? What kind of camera did he use? Like, what kind of resolution did he use? What kind of lighting did he use? Like, you can tell all kinds of things. Many different things. Like, you can run another AI program. You can figure out, is this what this person would say normally? Was it said in real time? And yeah, like, here is like another thing where the Russians are very good in is like, is digital, is like, you know, computer stuff. Like, computer stuff is such a stupid way about talking about digital stuff, but like, you know, computer hacking, phishing, Trojan horses, like, they can do these things very well. Russians are very smart people, and yeah, this is what they did, you know, and know your audience. You know, like, you can go and put this on some, I don't know, like some CNN lovers Facebook group. It's not going to get traction. However, if you put it on a conservative website, and I am not saying conservatives are dumb, I'm just saying that, like, we all have leanings, biases. I have biases. It's quite interesting about biases. Scientists, like neurologists who investigated biases, they themselves came to the conclusion that, like, their research about bias had biases in it. So we're all biased. So obviously, if you're going to put this anti-Biden, and Biden is a left-leaning guy, if you're going to put a fake video about him on a conservative website, you're just going to inflame these people's biases even more. That's what you want. Know your audience. Like, don't like push your information that into a place that won't work. And also, the message that they chose, the narrative, was about individual freedom, or put like restrictions of it, and this will gain traction with people who are right-leaning. Sources: The Verge, August 25, 2024. The Atlantic, August 22, 2024. The Hill, August 27, 2024. Number 4, manipulated content on Ukraine support. Russian bots and influencers circulated posts asserting that the US government had stolen taxpayer dollars to fund Ukraine, specifically targeting military families and conservative veterans. Memes and short videos presented false statistics claiming that billions in military aid went unaccounted for, with captions like "money that should help Americans goes overseas." This campaign intensified after September 2024, it's just like now, and was aimed at weakening public support for Biden's foreign policy initiatives. So, Yeah, like immediately, these Russian bots are super interesting. The influencers, I would say less so. These are just people who are really good at like content creators. Like they're very good, much better than me, obviously, like very good at creating narratives, getting it together, editing it, publishing it, finding the audience, promoting it. And then like you find once again your the audience that's like the most receptive, basically military vets. So you try to like go and influence them. Another good way of influencing people are memes. When you know a meme is a bunch of propaganda and it was done with malice, is when the meme is not funny. Like, memes are supposed to be funny, and most memes are funny. But go and have a look. There's three kinds of memes. Memes that's hilariously funny. Artists, artistic people, like, or comedians. Comedy is a form of art, creating memes. Then there's like memes that was done by maybe a 16-year-old, like someone who just like thought up something and they did it. And it's not, it's like marginally funny. It's like a dad joke, or, the joke 16-year-olds make, like one of those jokes. And then you get memes that's not funny at all. And you can also like realize that these memes were not meant to be funny. Whoever made it, they didn't care if it was funny or not. They just wanted a meme. And I am not going to choose a side on this, but quite often it will be conservative memes, and it will be some like, what do you call that stupid character? A soy jack. Soy Jack is such a funny meme. Do you know where Soy Jack comes from? Like, Soy Jack comes from Wojak. Wojak was a character created in one of these East European countries, like Poland or Czech Republic. Like, it was made there and it somehow just went viral across the world. In South Africa, we also have a meme, like the meme base, the meme base, the template that came from South Africa, called, it's that one of that African guy, and he's got this, at the caption is like, am I a joke to you? It's interesting how memes start, but then, the things like evolve and they take on a life of their own and they go viral and it becomes this creature almost. Now, it'll be these memes I'm talking about, it's not funny. It'll be some Wojak character, the one with the mask on that's crying underneath with the smug smile on top, because that's how liberal people are perceived. Many liberals are like that, by the way. And then it's like, I have nothing against liberals. Like a part of me is like liberal, but you get people who have some issues. They're super smug about certain things, and it's very irritating because I feel they are undermining their own cause by being this weird fake person. Conservatives do it as well, by the way. Now, I'm not talking about your run-of-the-mill liberal or socialist. I'm not talking about your run-of-the-mill conservative. I'm talking about these crazy-ass people on the edges, on the fringes. Like, they are the problem. And then on the other side would be this like Chad guy with the blonde beard. Why does it have to be a blonde beard? But like, there's not a lot of people who are blonde. It's basically some Germans, Norwegians, a few people from England. Blonde's like a very rare hair color. Like, and my dad's family was blonde, and my mom's family was not blonde, and now I'm not blonde. So I guess the blonde gene like receded. Why am I talking about this? But in any case, this Chad character in the meme would then just say something totally unfunny, like, oh, like I won't, I'm Christian, or like, just no. You know, the meme isn't funny, and that's when you know it's propaganda, or it's meant to be propaganda. It's usually not very good propaganda. Like, it's nothing like what the Nazis. I'm reading this book now. It's called Prequel, about the first Nazis in the US and when Nazi propaganda went into the US. I'm talking about World War II. And what was very interesting about the Germans is still, like, the Germans are a nation or a culture of precision, you know, like accuracy and refineness. You know, something's refined, well designed. You know, at one stage I worked with the Siemens PLCs, programmable logic computers, and those things were state of the art. It was like really, really good machines. I drove a BMW at one stage, very good car. You know, like the Germans know how to make things, and this goes into other areas as well, like music, like you know, like death metal, classical music, whatever they touch turn into gold. Like, and also literature, propaganda. They're very good at it. Like, if you go and look at Nazi propaganda from World War II, it wasn't as bad. Like, it was very convincing that it was not stupid people who made the propaganda. They made propaganda that could, like, convince people about so many things. There were elements of German propaganda even in Brazil, like, because they had all these, like, you know, chapters throughout. The Nazis had chapters throughout the world, even in South Africa. And even South African Nazi propaganda at the time, like in the late 30s and early 40s, it was like, you know, you see this like strong man. I'm pretty weak, as you can see. Not because I've got inferior genes. I used to be quite big when I was young, and now I'm just old, you know, like receding testosterone, you can see from my hair. But like, in any case, the propaganda is good. Like, the propaganda now just seems to be, from these people, just seems to be weak. It's clumsy, it's ineffective. However, it still hits home because we have biases. Like, we believe what we want to believe in. That's why it's so difficult to think. Even if you're doing, you know, like your PhD research paper, it's challenging because you have to like disprove, like, to a certain extent of what you're trying to prove. It's a good mental exercise, but it's difficult. So, did I mention the sources? Okay, the AI generated Biden video clips on freedom restrictions. I'm just quickly going to go through the sources again. The Verge, August 25, 2024. Atlantic, August 22, 2024. The Hill, August 27, 2024. Next up, manipulated content on Ukraine support. So, yeah, we spoke about it, sorry. Okay, next up, Iran. So, Iran, like, what can we say about Iran? Iran doesn't like the US, and the US doesn't like Iran. It's just a fact of life. So, Iran, I believe, will be more. Okay, so the reason for Russian interference is the Russians would be more comfortable with a Trump presidency because Trump openly admitted, you know, that Putin is a good guy, or that he gets along with Putin, something like that. I can't remember the verbatim, but he, or at least like, we don't know what Trump truly thinks of Putin, because Trump just says, like, he's a marketer, right? He will say, like, your job as a marketing person is not to talk about your true feelings. It's about marketing the product, making the product look at its best. So we don't really know what Trump really feels about Putin, but the Russians think, or Putin thinks, that, like Trump will be good for them, then also there's rumors, it's only rumors, that the Russians have a video of Trump receiving a golden shower in one of their hotels in Moscow. Now, that may be true, but it's so gross, like I will tend to think it's false. But now we're getting to Iran. Iran would prefer Harris because Trump is seen as a crazy person who loves Israel and will, I mean, it's like when the US embassy moved to Jerusalem. I don't know what's the big deal. Palestine, Israel's weird. They're always fighting. I don't see why. I'll make a video about this and explain my situation, my stance. But Iran would prefer a Harris-like administration because for them, or it appears to them, that she'll be less aggressive. In June 2024, Iranian hackers accessed emails of Trump's senior campaign advisor, leaking manipulated documents alleging a secret plan to cut healthcare programs. Media outlets critical of Trump received this information and it circulated quickly in states with significant elderly populations. This effort intended to diminish Trump's appeal by suggesting he would threaten Medicare and Social Security programs crucial to his older voter base. So, they hacked into it because remember, Trump is at the moment of this video being made, in the last 4 years, he's not president. So he has he's got less security. That's one of the reasons they almost killed him twice, 2.5 times, because this other guy went to one of his rallies with a shotgun. So he has less security physically because they're pushing, by the way, probably the US security service is not what it used to be. I remember who was the president that visited South Africa? I believe it was Obama. When Obama visited South Africa, the US Secret Service was so insistent on security, they told the South Africa, the Johannesburg, it's the biggest commercial city in South Africa, they told the Johannesburg city council to weld shut the manholes in the street where Obama will be moving, which they did. Now, from that, now you have this that video of how did it look? It was so retarded. That woman who had the gun, it was in the wrong place. A gun was in the wrong place and she didn't look like someone who can use a gun. I handled the gun maybe 2 or 3 times in my life, and I would probably have handled it better. She just maybe she was freaked out, and the panic and anxiety hijacked her brain, but still special agents are supposed to be immune to that. So this is just a symptom of the larger problem plaguing the services, and it put President Trump's life in danger. But in any case, if this is the problem with his physical protection, think about his digital protection. That may receive even less attention. And this is what probably happened to Trump and Vance, is there's less attention was paid to because they're not in the presidential position. They are challenges to the incumbency. That the Iranians found a weak spot and planted this nonsense into their emails and stuff like that. Most probably, I think this happened. Because it's kind of stupid as well. And I'm not saying Iranians are stupid, but it wasn't done, with the sophistication of the Russians or, the Chinese. They can do something and they can almost basically, or get away with it. But a smaller country, especially one that's been so heavily sanctioned, for them to do a hacking operation would be very difficult. Like, I don't know a lot about hacking. Maybe someone is hacking me right now because, I'm too incompetent to properly secure my PC. I don't know who of you saw that TV series, Mr. Robot. Hacking is very interesting, like breaking down security barriers. And so many people are vulnerable. Like, for example, Sony got hacked when they made that video. No, not that video, the movie. You should watch that movie, by the way, about Kim Jong-un. The movie's called, what was it called? Yeah, the interview with, what's his name? Franco, something Franco, and what's the other guy, the fat guy with the curly hair? But like Seth Rogen, maybe, no, I don't know. But in any case, they make this movie about two guys going to North Korea to interview the president, and it's just, it's a comedy, it's just a mess. Yeah, so basically a country like North Korea, they can do it. What they did then, because this movie put them, or the leader, in a bad light, they hacked Sony, and they spread the movie on the internet for free, which kind of backfired because then it was on every torrent website and everyone got to see the movie. Next up, sources, sorry. The New York Times, June 15th, 2024. Reuters, June 17th, 2024. Washington Post, June 18th, 2024. This is like Iran hacking Trump. Okay, next point. Exploitation of Israel-Gaza conflict to polarize voters. Now, of course, this would have happened. Beginning in September 2024, Iranian-backed networks on Facebook and X shared posts accusing American politicians of supporting Israeli war crimes. The campaign aimed to stoke anger amongst American Muslim communities, particularly in Michigan and Illinois, using images of the destruction in Gaza with captions like, "Your vote supports this." By promoting a narrative that Democrats were funding international conflicts, Iran sought to alienate Muslim voters from the Democratic Party. So, look, I think it's very difficult to, and I'm a centrist. I won't even say it's difficult. It's almost impossible to defend Israel. I know they were attacked and 1,000 people died, but their response was absolutely not proportional. You can't for each of your people kill 40 of theirs. It's just not even in Sharia law, it's just not, or the Jewish law, it's not how it works. I used to be a Christian. I remember one of the things that stuck with me was what an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Punishment should be proportional. Justice systems work like that. Countries that still have the death penalty, if you murder someone, you get the death penalty. If you steal something, you get a certain, if you steal a bread, you get maybe, a 6-month, what do they call it? In Afrikaans, we say opgeskorte, one of those paused sentences. So you don't go to jail, but if you commit a crime again, you get 6 months. But if you defraud 10,000 people in a Ponzi scheme, then you'll get 15 years. So, punishment should be proportional. And unfortunately, the Israeli government, once again, I'm not going to say Jews or Israelis, because I know some Israelis and they're wonderful people, but the politicians like Netanyahu manipulated these people to become fearful and to act on their base carnal instincts. Now, Iran isn't a democracy, when a country isn't a democracy, you derive legitimacy from service delivery. Like, because people don't care if they can't vote or tweet, you know, or even watch certain, you know, like Friends television program from the United States. Friends was not funny, by the way. I watched season 1 and then I just lost interest. Like, I think Friends is more, the TV series is more like meant for women, like that's the demographic. But in any case, why am I talking about Friends? Like, okay, service delivery in autocratic countries, like, so you don't mind if you lose like the freedom of watching Friends. However, electricity, water, housing, food, internet, a job, education, Medicare, these things have to be provided. And once these things are provided, people are happy. And if you can provide something like a public swimming pool, you know, a public tennis court, you know, ballet classes and STEM classes, you know, robotics classes at your schools, people will be very happy. Like the country I live in, the internet speed is ridiculously quick. It's very quick. Like, and you know, that reduces some of the stress in your life. So then these people will like be much less, if it's done well, they'll be much less inclined to rebel. That's one of the reasons like Putin is still in power, is servicing delivery in Russia isn't great, but it isn't that bad. People have food, they have internet, they have running water, except if you stay in some house in Siberia, like a village of 5 houses. But I mean, a village of 5 houses won't be serviced like in any country in the world, because it's just 5 houses like in the Yonkers. However, in this case, Iran hasn't provided all of these services. There's many problems, like massive problems with their infrastructure, broken roads, broken water pipes, brownouts, like trash removal. Like, Iran has a lot of problems. It's compounded by the fact that the people who started the revolution, I'm 44, the youngest people who were part of the Iranian Revolution are now my age. I am not young enough to go and chase a 21-year-old man, you know, like chase him down to hit him with a baton because he's protesting, you know, because I'm old. Now imagine my seniors, they will be in their 60s or even 70s. These people they can no longer keep control of Generation Z, which have much different aspirations. In the very least, Iranians want, like, you know, they want like services. They want like proper electricity, proper water, proper education, proper medical aids, proper, you know, things. And some of them, they want like internet. They want to go to parties, you know, and they're oppressed. Now, to take away, always any country will do this. Like, the best example would be Argentina when they invaded the Falkland Islands in the 80s. That was an attempt by the government to draw away attention from the horrible conditions on the mainland at home. Iran's doing the same. Like, it's like basically attacking Israel, not because, maybe a bit because, but mostly because they need a boogeyman, you know, that people can be fearful of, in this case, Israel. Like, and this is why they do what they do. In this case, like interfering in the US election, specifically, they will weaken anyone they can. Remember, there will be two types of foreign interference. One will be to try to make a certain candidate win. Okay, like the Russian one, where they believe they'll be better off under Trump. But what Iran will gain from is if the American people themselves are divided. So, and this can be done very well by like creating a distrust in the system. So once you have created distrust in the system, then the Americans will pay less attention to Iran, and the government will have like greater freedom. So my sources for the Iranian, the polarization and stuff, like about the fake news about the secret plan to take away Medicaid. The New York Times, June 15th, 2024. Reuters, June 17th, 2024. The Washington Post, June 18th, 2024. Just look for Iran articles mentioning Iran. Probably it will be there. Okay, number 6, exploitation of Israel-Gaza conflict to polarize voters. So I'm just quickly going to browse through this. Like, essentially, they would just like highlight Israeli war crimes, which should be highlighted, but this was specifically done in Michigan. So Michigan is a swing state. You want to, like, if Harris loses Michigan, it will basically encourage Trump. And, this may be something that's beneficial to Iran. Divide the US. Like, this is what they want. Okay, phishing campaigns, number 7, phishing campaigns against Democratic staff. In August 2024, Iranian hackers impersonated Biden campaign staff, sending emails urging recipients to download a security update. This phishing attack, intercepted by cybersecurity teams, aimed to breach sensitive data within the Biden campaign. Although unsuccessful, the attack underscored Iran's intent to gather confidential information from Democratic staff. So the campaign. So you remember, you have government and then you have the campaign. The campaign doesn't have the same amount of security coverage than like the White House, So hacking into the White House to get the nuclear codes or whatever, good luck with that. Okay, even the Russians won't be able to do it. But try to hack a campaign, different story, because that's in a different building. There will be tough security, but it's much easier to hack them than anyone else. So Biden campaign, like interference sources, NBC News, August the 10th, 2024. The Washington Post, August the 12th, 2024. Cybersecurity Today, August the 15th, 2024. Next up, China. Point number 8, Spamouflage campaign on homelessness and crime. In October 2024, a Chinese state-linked account posted about crime and homelessness in California, claiming Democrats ignore domestic crisis. These posts shared widely on platforms like TikTok and X with the tag #DemocratFailure, targeting undecided voters in California and New York. The post portrayed China as a country with fewer social issues, contrasting this with perceived US failures, aiming to weaken confidence in the democratic policies. Now, unlike China and Russia, who's pretty well aware of the fact that they are different than the US, and they'll never be like the US, and it's pointless to try. You just find a way to work with them, and if both get a fair deal, great. If you don't screw each other over. China's different. Like China will, they will often, or let's once again, not the Chinese people, the Chinese government, not the Chinese culture, the Chinese government. They believe in, harmony. That's a central Chinese belief. It's thousands of years old. It comes from Confucius. And Confucius basically said, so if you're a Westerner, you have Jesus as a role model. If you're a Buddhist from India, you've got Buddha, or what's the other guy, like Ganesha or whatever, which lays out your views of the world. And although, let's say, Christianity has died, I'm using these quotes because it's still pretty much alive, but Christianity, the Abrahamic or the Judeo-Christian culture is very much alive, if not stronger than it's ever been. And that's reflected in laws. Okay, so you can't kill someone, you can't lie, you're not supposed to drink in excess. These kinds of things are kind of, and you find it across the world, logical things. Now, the Chinese version is basically the maintenance of harmony, of a harmonious, environment. And if harmony has been disturbed, it should be restored. So if you disturb the ecosystem, then they will go and try to restore it. One of the ways of restoring, and this means one of the subsets of this would be non-interference, because that's you're messing with the harmony. So don't interfere in someone else's affairs. Stay out of their affairs. It's none of your business. If you see a guy arguing with his girlfriend, stay out of it. If you see two shop owners arguing, stay out of it. Stay out of things that don't concern you directly. Okay, so then when you say something bad about their state, for example, or let's say a specific cultural practice, one of the very first things that will happen is, because you have in their mind disturbed the harmony, they will then attack you using whataboutism. And they will then say, look, okay, China, by the way, is very advanced. China is something right now is something like Japan used to be in the 80s. So crime is almost non-existent. Here and there you get some instances of crime, but there's no violent crime. There is no homelessness. There are some homeless people, but they are usually extremely mentally ill. And China doesn't know 100, mental illness. Chinese people are very stoic. Okay, so for them, if you're homeless, it's what's wrong with you? Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. It doesn't occur to them that, okay, the guy may be schizophrenic. It's usually men, by the way. It's so interesting. It's I've never in any country, I've seen it in Chile. I've seen it in the Republic of Chile. But in South Africa, I've never seen a homeless woman. I've only seen homeless men. And I believe it's because men are more susceptible to mental illness, schizophrenia, severe anxiety, severe paranoia, bipolar disease, manic depression. And when you're in such a state of mind, working is impossible. You may be so because it becomes a physical phenomenon as well, a physical manifestation, that you like become so disinterested in life. You know, you approach the state where essentially it's just under suicide. You like basically stop showering, you just like let your hair grow in a crazy way, like, you know, your beard, you're just like this dirty person. But like, those will be the only people who are homeless. It's not like in the US where you have like a software engineer living from his car, you know, because just COVID, like, you know, like moved a few switches, and now this guy who was like, let's say, middle class, now suddenly finds himself homeless. There's many Americans like that, you know, like perfectly upstanding citizens who, unfortunately, the die were cast and it fell, you know, against their favor. Now they're homeless. And you get terrible crime in the US. I mean, like, and it's very old. Like, I'll do a video, I'll talk about US crime, but I'm going to incorporate it with South African crime in the future. The Chinese, they don't have that. So then, like, it's very easy for them to say, oh, okay, but like, you're criticizing us. Look at the mess you have in your own country. You know, like, you have these homeless people and this awful, you know, murder. We don't have that. How dare you criticize us? Which is fair, I guess. Still, it's a what about argument, which is kind of stupid. But like, for the Chinese, I believe they would prefer Trump, because Trump is what's known as a known quantity. So, and also I think they think Trump's stupid. The Chinese believe they can control a stupid person. I'm not saying Trump is stupid. Trump's probably more intelligent, much more intelligent than I am. Look at how much money the guy's got. Look at how well he can market himself. Look at how many beautiful women he got. But in any case, the Chinese think he's much easier to control than Harris. That's why you want to weaken the Democrats. You want like a lower turnout. And like TikTok, you know, that's like their bread and butter. It's a Chinese invention. TikTok, by the way, is a fabulous like piece of software. The AI is next level good. Like, the first time I used TikTok, when I don't no longer do it, it's too addictive. But like, the first time I installed it on my phone, I spent 3-4 hours on it straight. I just quit to now and then to have a drink of water and, you know, go to the toilet. But it was like, you know, I just started out with these random videos, and then I was like selecting, and then after a while, it perfectly got what I was interested in. And yeah, it was like, you know, China has 650 unique patents with regards to AI. So if the Chinese apply themselves in the correct way, they will easily, you know, they'll become like the UK was like in 1850. They'll just become this massively strong empire. Some reasons holding him back, but like, that's not the point here. Okay, my sources for the hashtag Democrat failure, the criticism of the Democrats, pointing to their shitty cities. The Guardian, October the 5th, 2024. Politico, October the 8th, 2024. New York Times, October the 10th, 2024. Number 9, also under China. Anti-LGBTQ plus and anti-immigration messaging. Starting in August 2024, Chinese accounts on X spread content targeting conservative communities, claiming Democrats were indoctrinating children on LGBTQ issues and pushing an uncontrolled immigration agenda. Post falsely stated that Democrats plan to make LGBTQ plus education mandatory in all schools. This misinformation aimed to mobilize conservative voters against Democrats on cultural issues. So, just to put it into context, you can be gay or trans in China, no problem. A marriage isn't like sanctioned, I think, and also you can't adopt children, but unlike some places in Africa, you won't be hounded to death, or in the Middle East, you won't be stoned to death like the Chinese will. Just, once again, harmony, like, as long as you don't interfere. Like, if you don't interfere, you can do any weird stuff, as long as you don't break the law, but you can do weird stuff if you want to. I'm not saying, look, I'm not being homophobic. I'm not saying being gay is weird. I'm just saying that for some people from a conservative background, like, it may appear to be weird. In any case, one wouldn't think this is a big issue. There's like so few gays around, but like, because in China, it's not as accepted as, for example, South Africa. In South Africa, this will never work. Like, you can't have an anti-gay thing in South Africa, like marches against it. People will think you're a bigot, or, in fact, you'll actually end up in the Human Rights Court. I'm going to do a video about the South African Human Rights Court. That thing is powerful. It's very powerful. Like, so what they did understand, though, the Chinese, is that this is still something to divide Americans on, and weaken the Democrats because they want Trump to win. Sources: CNN, August the 15th, 2024. NPR, August the 18th, 2024. Immigration Policies, The Washington Post, August the 20th, 2024. Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, China also, their immigration is very strong. Like, you can't just waltz into China. Like, the Chinese borders are very well guarded. And yeah, they're strict. Like, and they've got it under control. Like, so for them, it's also a weird concept. Like, how can you not have control of your borders? That's like, you have to see it from someone else's perspective. 10. Targeting anti-China congressional candidates. In September 2024, Chinese operatives fabricated stories about GOP Congressman Tom Cotton, claiming he had accepted illegal bribes from lobbying firms. Stories like Congressman Cotton's hidden corruption circulated on conservative news outlets and social media, intending to erode trust in Cotton's anti-China stance amongst his conservative base. So, yes, like, what's interesting about China is that they will go, they're kind of smart. Like, so I don't know, those of you who watch these kung fu movies, the pressure points. This is like very old, like, Chinese medicine techniques. Those of you who have ever gone for a Chinese massage, I'm not talking about a happy massage, I'm talking about a proper medical massage. Those things are vicious. Like, the Chinese really know what they're doing. Like, if you get a feet massage, it's torture. They press you in places where you didn't think you had muscles. And it's so weird because let's say I weigh 90 kilograms, like, you would think, okay, I weigh 90 kilograms, my feet's the toughest part of my body because it takes all this weight. No, like, these massage therapists, they find the pressure points on the feet and they apply pressure. And it's very painful. In the end, the massages work very well. Like, once I got the massage in my neck, the woman found this like muscle here. I didn't even know there was a muscle there. And the muscle and the tendon, not just the muscle and the tendon. And then she started moving it around against the bone. You can feel the muscle and the tendon slipping around on the bone. And I almost told her, stop, this is insane. I can't handle this. But I thought, okay, let's not be a kitten. Let's just, soldier through it. But 2 hours later, magic. My feet, my neck, I never felt better. And it's because they found these pressure points. And I don't know how Chinese traditional medicine works in any case, but like some of it seems to work. I believe specifically in the massages and acupuncture. Why am I talking about this? But like in any case, the Chinese believe that if you target a specific thing, it can work. Hence, they will target one guy instead of going after the guy's constituency. Because, like, let's say this, I don't even know who Tom Cotton is, but like, let's say this Tom Cotton has like, I don't know, 10,000 or 1,000 followers or whatever. They're not going to go after each of these people, and screw them over so that these people don't do their thing in the world. They will just find Tom Cotton and do something, like either paint him as an idiot, like the village idiot, or like a fool, or a retard, or, something like that, like totally discredit him. And then that will, quite often, they're very persistent people. They will, often succeed. And this is how they go to work. Sources: CNN, August 15th, 2024. NPR, August the 18th, 2024. The Washington Post, August 20, 2024. Okay, Europe and the UK. So, well, yes, you wouldn't think it would happen, but the UK did. They did interfere in the US election, and Keith Starmer came out and he did a lot of denials. But it's very weird because you would think the UK is, some people say it's Israel, but it's not. Israel's kind of useless. I say it with respect, but go and look what the UK has. The UK still, they've got nuclear submarines. They've got a massive financial empire. They've got strong cultural ties all over the world. To put it into perspective, now this is too much of a tangent. I'm not going to go there right now. But the US, they got these people. In October 2024, UK-based advocacy groups allegedly funded anti-Trump ads targeting environmentally conscious US voters on platforms like X and TikTok. The ads featured messages like Trump's policies will wreck our planet and were directed towards young voters in swing states such as Florida and Arizona. Remember, Florida hurricanes, Arizona droughts. These ads were traced to British climate focus groups whose goal was to sway younger voters away from Trump by emphasizing environmental impacts under his administration. The ads used graphics of melting icebergs and endangered wildlife, appealing to concerns about climate change. So, yeah, some organizations are simply too woke. And I'm saying too woke, meaning that they are undermining their own, cause. In this case, if you get caught out doing something like this, it's going to make everything worse. like anyone who believes in like a climate conspiracy, you know, global warming conspiracy, this is going to be like proof, you know, like it's going to be like proof to be used, you know, to now then it's no longer, then this thing moves away from being a conspiracy theory almost. And I'm saying almost because it's just a small amount of data, but now this appears to be a conspiracy because it was a bunch of people who came together in a room saying we're going to make this like digital like campaign, which they executed. And well, I don't know how much of an effect it had, but probably it did have an effect. And this is how you screw yourself over. And although this was meant as an anti-Trump campaign, this has effectively now turned into a pro-Trump campaign, because now righteously Trump supporters will say like, well, you interfered in our election. That's, you know, it's against international law. So it's not okay. Well, I'm not going to say the British don't usually interfere in, you know, break international law. They do. Maybe a good title for an episode. But like, yeah, this is what they have done. Sources: The Telegraph, October the 15th, 2024. BBC News, October the 12th, 2024. The Guardian, October the 17th, 2024. Interestingly enough, all three of these sources are British, right? So, next up, like the EU. So this isn't like too much interference, because the EU truly, like, I would say I look up to the EU in the sense that this is how a country should be run. Now look, I know that, what was that guy, Robert Kiyosaki, wrote the book, what was it called? The End of History. And that thing now has thoroughly been debunked, because the real analysts, the real technocrats with experience and smarts and knowledge of history knew that this is nonsense. Like, history is very old, you know, like societies function in different ways. And I know Europe then shouldn't be seen as the gold standard of humanity. I know this. But, you know, in many ways, they are much more advanced than the rest of the world. I can make a list. And I can make a list that's not just biased about like against, like, let's say the global south. I can make a list about things that are practically true. Like, the first thing that popped to my mind right now is South Africa, the incarceration system. We cannot, in South Africa, we have like failed to rehabilitate repeat offenders, or just like criminal offenders. It's a mess. We have a huge prisoner population in South Africa. The Europeans don't have it. Like, I'm talking under correction, but like Iceland has a prison population of 50 people. 50 people in a country of like, how many are they? It's like 1 million or something, 3 million people. It's a very small country, but still 50 people. Okay, you can sit there and, you know, within 3 hours, you can have an in-depth conversation with all 50 of them, and they're not violent. They're just like, you know, the Iceland has made a concerted effort to rehabilitate these people as the Nordic countries. I'm a huge fan of the Nordic countries. Like, that's how you should run a society. But in any case, they did run some anti-Trump campaigns because they were concerned about the Russian campaigns. Their intelligence services picked up the Russian campaigns against, like, the United States, and they thought they would counter it, which is kind of stupid. So the European Parliament released a report, so at least it's Parliament releasing a report in the audience in the world, revealing concerns about Russian origin disinformation campaigns hosted on European digital platforms. These campaigns, posted as European environmentally advocacy initiatives, but targeted US audiences with slogans like "America must catch up with Europe" and narratives accusing US leaders of climate inaction. Russian groups leveraged EU-hosted platforms to spread these messages, creating an illusion of global consensus against the current US administration's policies. So, just to be clear, like, this headline is EU's warning on Russian spillover campaigns. This isn't like EU interference in the US election. One of the few regions who haven't interfered. They're just warning about Russian interference, but once again, bear in mind that, like, the way information can be perceived. So I can warn you, I can tell you you're fat, or I can tell you, look, if you don't quit smoking, you're going to die in 10 years. Now, what I'm telling you may be true, but if I say it in an incorrect way, it's going to make you negative. It's going to make you doubt my sincerity, and, you may even observe me or think of me as a toxic person. So just remember, this can happen as well. Foreign interference in a country should maybe receive a much broader definition, because I believe it's much more than just hacking someone's email. It's like many, many different things. So that's all for now. I need to drink some water. My mouth is so dry. And then we will talk about the internal interference problems, which may be much more serious than foreign interference, because look, after all, this is the United States. So far, it's the strongest, most powerful country in the world. You don't just like swing an election. You don't. Like, it doesn't happen. It's not Chile in the 1960s. Like, you can't swing an election. Like, it's very difficult. You can interfere, sure, and interference is serious. But I think internal interference is more pernicious because it's closer to home, and it can lead to greater fragmentation of society. It can, like, create, the initiation of the argument of making, the otherization of your opponent. Instead of saying your opponent says, "Oh, okay, this guy is right-leaning," or "This is a right-wing guy. Hey, how are you? How was your kid's soccer practice? Did she do well? Like, do you want to have a barbecue this weekend?" You can have perfectly civil conversations with people. Now it seems that they have become very, very nasty. And this is why I say internal interference is bad news. But that's all for now. Thank you very much for listening. If this piqued your interest, please have a look at the second video. I know I went off on so many tangents that may have been super boring, but after all, this channel is called, like, Beardman Rants. I rant. At least I don't lie about what I am. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.